Nice. So can you kind of give us like the origin of how you came up with the idea for Yes, I'm Hot in This? You
Yeah.
said it's been, around 3 years, just over 3 years when you started it, when you started posting from every day to now, 3 times a day or 3 times a week. But
Yeah.
how did that process start? How did you come up with the original idea, and how much different is that process now that you're super established to when you first started?
Yeah, it's when I first decided to do this, I had the title already picked out. I was actually going to write a book of essays about what it was like to, so imagine like these comics, but each comic would be an essay. So I would just be talking about like my experiences as a Muslim hijabi living in America, born and raised in America. And so there was, I had just, I had my son, I was a teacher and I stopped working and I was like, I want to do something. And there was this open call for writers. And I thought, okay, this is my chance. I'd always wanted to be a writer. Let me do this. And Trump had just been elected. And I was like, there's so much misinformation out there, like so much more. Because I grew up, through 9/11 and all of that after effect and the way it negatively impacted the Muslim community and the hate and the prejudice and the bias and all of this Islamophobia. And so I really I felt it even more though with Trump. It was just with social media, everything is louder, more immediate. You get videos, you get it just feels worse. And so I was like, I gotta do my part. I gotta like if you want to be the change you want to see in the world, and so I decided to write a few essays and with the title Yes, I'm Hot in This. And I sent it in submission to a few agents and they all rejected it. And they all came back like, nobody wants, and memoirs are really hard to sell. And I didn't know this, but they're basically like, nobody knows who you are. You're like a nobody. Like, why would we want your memoir or your story? And nobody knows you. And so I was like, kind of like, challenge accepted. Fine. I'll show you. And so I started posting. I didn't let it stop me. And I just started posting notes like on Facebook or something. And then my sister was like, can you turn one of these stories into a comic for me? It was just like kind of off the cuff. She knew I loved comics. I've loved Sunday comics ever since I was like, it's kind of like how I learned how to speak English because I grew up, my Arabic was my first language. And then we went to public school and I was like, so I kind of fell in love with comics. And so she was like, can you turn this into a comic? And it was like a light bulb just went off. I didn't know how to draw, no art experience, no drawing experience, no cartoon.
So you weren't doing comics before this. It was just kind of
Never.
like
Never have figured that.
Loved it. I just loved it.
what?
Yeah, and so the first comics, very rough, stick figures, pencil on paper, scanned it on my scanner that's right back here, uploaded it, and that was what I first posted. And then Jihad was like, if you're really serious about this, let me invest in your, whatever, and I'll get you, an Illustrator subscription, and I'll get you a tablet to draw on, and take some like workshop classes or whatever, find something to teach you how to use this stuff. And so slowly, little by little, it kind of blew up from there. And again, I did like the research, and because like I said, I didn't really have anything else to do but take care of my son. And in the very beginning, like after a few months, it kind of gets into a rhythm, and he's asleep a lot. And so I'm like, I need a purpose. I need to have more of a purpose. And yeah, and so I just spent a lot of my time. I put all of my time into learning how to do this stuff because I really like. For me, the reason why, like, okay, that's the how. The why was just I needed to hear a voice that represented like Muslims like me. I was seeing so many kinds of Muslims on TV. It was just we were the hot trendy thing now, but it was always these two extremes. Either you were like a terrorist or the wife of a terrorist or brainwashed or like you needed to be liberated or something, or the other opposite extreme where she was going to the club all the time, or she just couldn't wait to take off her hijab, or she needed like the very second episode was just her taking off her hijab for whatever reason, exoticized, fetishized. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was these two extremes. I never saw somebody who was just like, yeah, I love my religion and I wear the hijab and I wear this abaya, and hey, I also like, I'm proud of who I am, but I can also do all this other stuff. And I'm just, I don't know. I wanted people to see that kind of middle ground, and nobody was doing it. And so I thought, why not? Why not just do it?
The process of your comic books has been amazing. Seeing them go from, hearing how it started with the stick figures to where it is now. How was the learning curve? how long did it take you to get down the art for your comic book to where it is, I guess, around the level that it is now? How long was that process?
So I was like of drawing every single day. It took about a year to see a very, very visible change. I mean, I changed my style very quickly on. I incorporated color, I would study other artists and other cartoonists and to try to figure out, okay, how do I recreate this? I started taking, reference shots of poses that I couldn't quite find replicated. I needed to figure out how to draw this post. So I would be like, Jed, I need you to take a picture of me. And it'd be like the weirdest post. So it grew and it developed and I studied different techniques. And by saying studied, I literally would just Google stuff online, how do I do this? And how do I do this with an illustrator? And there's free workshops on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I can do this. I can figure this out. So really within a year, you could see this very drastic change. And then, the book the first book that I illustrated was Yes, I'm Behind This, and please don't mind, I do know my own stuff, but it's drawn in a style that's different than what I draw now. And so if you looked at my most recent book, That Can Be Arranged, it's also drawn in a little bit of a different, it's like the illustration has kind of evolved. And then I'm working on a third book right now, and that art is also different than what the other two kind of look like. So I feel like every day is just, I'm just, I'm trying to get past. I'm trying to move on. At the same time, I'm very limited to this type of art. It's cartoonish. I'm not don't ask me to draw some anatomically correct person or do an oil painting or I have some creative genes or something, but I can't draw really past the cartoony faces.
But that's what makes your art the coolest, though, is because I know exactly what your fingerprint is. I know exactly what your footprint is within the comic world. As soon as I see it, I was like, oh, that's cool. As soon as I see it.
Exactly. I'll just embrace that. I know my limitations and I can do that. And that's something that I'm happy with. I'm not I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel less than as an artist. I'm this is what I can do. And if you want a children's book, it will look like this. Please don't expect more. If I had the energy and the time to put into learning how to do that, I could probably try and study and spend another few years learning how to do this, but I just don't have the time. I'm going to just embrace this style and do my best to kind of make it the best.
Thanks everybody for watching the clip from this excellent episode. If you guys loved it, make sure you guys go and subscribe. So over in this area. And if you guys want to watch more of these clips and full-length videos, you can go right over here. Alright. So watch a video.